All right, we live? Is everybody ready? You degenerates, are you ready? Fox Den, episode 7, live from Blacksburg, Virginia. Just got back from the BMS. That's the Blacksburg Middle School Wrestling match where we watched Blacksburg hammer Pulaski County, Virginia. Smoked them. So good to see. Love it. Love the success. That's where my son goes to middle. So and my daughter. So welcome, Fox Den viewers. How many we got? 2? Woo, we're smoking it today. 2 viewers. If you guys ask 20 questions apiece, this will be a good show. Okay, let's get started, folks. First thing I want to talk about is information, right? And we're in the information age now. So if you go back to when I started doing this in the 80s, totally different time, right? Pre-internet, pre-cell phone. I used to dial a 1-900-SCORE phone. I used to dial the odds phone. You'd sit there with, call a number and the score would be 34-30 with 6 seconds left. And it'd be that way for 10 minutes. And you must have called 100 times. Totally different world we live in now. So let's just go over how it was then when I started. We had some things like, Brent Steelers money line. I love it. You'd have done well on it last week, my man. I tell you that. You'd have done real nice on it last week. Let's hope it continues. So back in the day, I'll give you some of the sources we used to use, actually. Hotel DuPont in Delaware, valets. Valets were a great, great source, and I'll tell you why. So Wilmington had a lot of business traffic. Obviously Delaware is a huge incorporation spot. Pie eater, good to see you, man. Stay hot, stay smoking hot on the ice, man. Valets at the Hotel DuPont, right? So you have business, ton of business travel, a lot of incorporation because of Delaware's incorporation laws, a lot of LLCs, that kind of thing out of there. So a lot of business traffic into the Hotel DuPont. So you'd have guys that would drive in from, Wilmington, you're almost equidistant, Baltimore and Philly, New York and DC. So those were obviously your major papers. We had a local paper in Delaware that covered the Little Philly and Little Baltimore, but nothing like the Baltimore Sun, the Philadelphia Daily News, the Inquirer. So these valets, if you get in good with them, they would, guys would get out. Guys would drive in from Boston. Guys would drive in from Pittsburgh, Philly, and they'd have that morning paper with them. And, if they get there in the afternoon, they didn't care about the paper anymore. Valets would get it for you. Newspapers, train stations, bus stations. I mean, that's how we got information. I know it sounds crazy to you young folks out there, but that's how we got information. It was crazy. I mean, you'd call people in other cities if you knew somebody there and try to get the scoop, right? Everybody wanted to scoop. And Faxman will tell you about this. When I worked at Don Best, it was an old guy that did it then. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. Fax may remember it. But he basically worked what they called the injury phone. And they had a phone, hardline, dial phone, while it's push button, I think. But so they had a hardline phone there. And this guy had the number to the training room, not the team offices, he had the hardline number to the room where the guy was getting taped with a phone on the wall. And, say, Magic goes down, Jordan goes down with an ankle, right? Gets limps, half carried off. Of course, they're going to list him as probable, questionable, whatever. 10, 15 minutes, injured guy goes over to the phone, blah, 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 blah. Bill, Don Best, what's the deal? And it would be a straight answer. There's no way he goes to tomorrow night. Meanwhile, the odds makers have to hang a number based on questionable, doubtful, probable. You just got it from the trainer. That was when Don Best was the information capital of sports gaming. Quite frankly, it was. I mean, because they were getting information and getting it to their clients that you could not get anywhere else. So access to information back then was the key. Okay. And you had to work for it, right? We looked at papers, the local ones, Baltimore Sun, the Philadelphia Daily News, Inquirer, the New York Post, the Daily Times, stuff like that. I mean, if you get your hands on one of the big major rags, you were in good shape. Now, today, right? So many younger people in this game with legalization, right? Everybody's younger than me doing it. Everybody I know that's doing it is younger than me. Information is everywhere. Okay, so finding it is not the issue. It's right here. It's right here, right? It's on your cell phone. It's on your computer. It's a click away everywhere. So today the game's changed. Back then, access to information was key. Now that's eradicated. Everybody has equal access. It's how you use the information. And we're going to talk somewhat about that when we're only going to briefly touch on the bowl games or championship games, because I went over those in the Tuesday show. You can always go back and watch the Tuesday show. I gave out a couple of plays there as well. But we're going to talk about that with this UCF game just when I go over that in a minute. but it's how you use the information. And that's like my algorithm that I use for college football. The information, you can access it just as easy as I can. So it's on a site that anybody can access, but it's how that information is applied in an algorithm to produce a rating that makes it valuable. Okay. And I'll be giving out a college basketball play actually tonight. And it may be contrarian from what I've understood from the people that, know way more than me, but I'm still going to give it. I do college basketball a little different. So I use data points, right? But I don't have an algorithm or rating system. To me, Ken Palm, I could spend the next 10 years trying to come up with a rating system. Am I going to get better than Ken Palm? Probably not. Sagarin, I think, has one. There's a million people that have them, right? Being able to have your own rating system is great if you can do it. To me, it's too big of a sample size, too much to grind on after just coming off college football. So it's how you use it. So I pick select data points that I think are important to be a good college basketball team and who stand a better chance of winning, covering, whatever the case may be in that game versus that opponent based on a small slicing of numbers. I pull select stats out, and when I write the games out with a pen on a notebook, I'm old. I write the games out, and then I'll column out my data points. Okay. And then when I fill all that in, then I've got, and I use Ken Palm's rating just because I think it's a good rating. It's as good as any, people probably blow me up over that. There's 9 people watching, 8 of them probably think Ken Palm sucks. I don't know. I use them. But you can use any rating system, but I'm just doing that to get the global perspective. Right. And then these stats that I value are what I'm going to make my case on. Right. So it's how you use it today. And we're going to go over that with college football and then a little with college basketball when I give out my play. And I can do that right now, actually, because I know some people want to get a play. I'm going to give out a college basketball play early in the show. That's going to be a 30-minute show. Junior's got hoops practice again tonight, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hoops play, and then we're going to give out one more championship play that we looked at. I was on the fence on when we spoke on Tuesday, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. I have pulled the trigger on it. And we'll go over a couple of little small line moves in those championship games, pretty inconsequential. A couple of them a little bigger than others. So how you use the information, right? So tonight, hoops play, we are going to the Bob Carpenter Center, Newark, Delaware, home of the University of Delaware Mighty Fighting Blue Hens. Yeah. You're probably getting a pretty good idea. I know a little something about Newark, Delaware, right? Pulled out the Bob. We could stop at the Deer Park, Stone Balloon, the East End that's now Grain. It's awesome out actually now. And when we'll take any sponsors too, by the way, Grain, Deer Park. I've certainly spent the better part of a college education in the Deer Park Townie Bar. And any of my friends that are watching will surely back that one up. Alan Bourbon, my man, good to see you. Thank you for checking in. Thank you to all 8. I already lost somebody. I haven't even given the play yet. How bad is that? It was probably my son. So college football tonight. We're going live. Newark, Delaware. I believe 7:00 start. Cornell versus University of Delaware, Mighty Fighting Blue Hens. And let me just pull my college book out. So line opened last night at 3.5 and actually saw some value in that. Held off, went to 5 at about 2 o'clock today. Back down to 4.5. Currently, I'm sure there's 5s out there. I haven't checked all of my outs yet, but I just checked DK in Virginia. It was at 4.5. I'm sure there's a 5 out there. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to take Cornell on the road at Delaware, Cornell plus the 5. 4.5 is fine if you get it, but I've got plus 5. That's what I played it at. And again, I pick about 7 to 8 data points, right? Use Ken Palm's rating, and then pull these data points out that I feel like are valuable. Okay. And I'll give you a couple examples of them. And how did I get these data points? Right. So I got these data points from what I think helps win basketball games from doing this for so long. But also, I ask people that are better, quite frankly. I know it sounds crazy. Don't be afraid to ask somebody. And I have people I've met via Twitter, via social media, and I've just reached out to them. What's the worst they're going to tell me? Go myself. I mean, come on. I don't care. I don't know you anyways. And the best they're going to do is be like, hey, how can I help? I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help people get. That's what I do. You hit me up at Greyfox. I'm going to give you all the help I can give you. So just a couple of key data points that I looked at in this one. 2-point percentage, 2-point field goal percentage. Cornell's second in the country. Delaware's 219th. Defensive efficiency. Cornell's 114. Delaware's 276. Offensive rebounding, they're about the same. Offensive rebounding position, they're about the same now. From what I understand, Delaware may have a small rebounding edge, and they're slightly ahead in the statistics, but 240 to 215, it's pretty marginal when you actually look at the actual number that's tied to. And then a big one that another one that I picked up from somebody that I value their opinion of quite a bit. He knows who he is, by the way. Assist to turnover ratio: Cornell 59, Delaware 161. So, in looking at the schedules, obviously Delaware's played Duke. I get it. That can skew things a little bit, right? We all get that. I just think this is it's a solid Cornell team. They do shoot the three. They do rely on the three, and they're up there in 3-point. But as you can see, their 2-point percentage doesn't make me feel like they have to win the threes tonight to win the game. I think they can stay in this one. Again, I know I'm taking a contrarian position because I've seen some others' opinions on this game, and I haven't seen one yet on Cornell. I've seen everything on Delaware in this game. Delaware's a tough place to play. It wasn't when I was there. That the place was pretty quiet. It didn't have much success when I was there. 2 great games I watched at Delaware. I watched Ralph Sampson score 50 in the first half against Delaware. He was being guarded. I think it was Barry Berger who was guarding him, but I can't remember the guy. I think that's the guy's name. But he was like 6'3" and like big. And you obviously know what Ralph Sampson was. He was Twin Tower, 7 foot. It was a comedy show. And I watched David Robinson hang a 50 burger on Delaware when he played for Navy. So I've seen some good games in there. I actually saw Tony Tucker in a state championship for Wilmington High School go 13 for 13 from the line in a really close state championship game to ice it. And I remember that one forever. Tony Tucker, yeah, he can play. So tonight we're going with Cornell plus the 5 in the Bob Carpenter Center, University of Delaware. That's our college basketball freebie for tonight. Quick story. We're at 11 minutes. I'm gonna try new Ralph since I was nice. Ralph is the man. Obviously, UVA guy. Probably a Shenandoah Valley guy, maybe even knowing who knew him since he was young. Ralph was a freak, man. People forget how good that guy was in college and the pros, but he did hang a 50 burger on Delaware in the first half. Quick story, athlete story. Playing college football freshman year, I'm the backup center. I basically started one game after an injury on the second play, but other than that, I was second string and mop up as a freshman. The second string quarterback was a guy that we all called Snake. I'm not going to give his real name on here to protect the innocent. Not really protecting him, but kind of. Love the guy. Quarterbacks and centers, if you don't know, ask somebody. It's a pretty special relationship when the hands are where the hands are. Oh, the girls for S4 XYZ finally found us. That's a compliment. I thought Fax was the only one that got the girls' new site with hot girls on there. They're apparently all over Run Pure. Anyways, quarterback, Snake. Why do we call him Snake? I'll give you 2 guesses. The first one don't count. Long blonde hair, left-handed, could scramble like a madman, loved to drink, loved the ladies. Remind you anyone? All he needed was a 12 and an Alabama jersey, and he would have been the second coming of Kenny Stabler. Guy was a flat-out athlete. But, freshmen aren't getting looks at that time. He probably could have even stepped in. I mean, he was a freak athlete. So season's wrapping up. We got like 1 game left. It's like the last week of the season. We're sitting around having a beer, doing something, and Snake just kind of says to the group, I think I'm going to play for the hockey team. I looked at him. What are you talking about, dude? Play for the hockey team? Do you even play hockey? He's like, I mess around a little bit. I don't know. They're probably not very good. I think I'll play for them. Yeah, I'll play for them. We're like, yeah, okay, Snake. Can you skate? Yeah, I can skate. Okay, Snake, you go play hockey, kid. So we didn't know it. He goes to the coach. Apparently has some sort of conversation. Football season ends. He goes, guys, Tuesday night I'm playing for the school team. College team, NCAA hockey team. We're like, dude, you haven't practiced. We don't even know if you know how to play. He's like, the rink was in suburban Philadelphia somewhere, so we drove. It was like a 30-minute ride. So we follow him to the rink. He opens his trunk out, pulls out a hockey gear bag. So we're like, well, at least he's got gear. Chunks it out of his truck, and dust comes out of it. And I'm not exaggerating because our headlights were on it. Dust came out of it. I'm like, what is this dude doing? So we go in there. We're like, this is going to be comedy, man. He might fall. Like, who knows what's going to happen, right? How did this coach even let him on the team? So he comes out and skate around. Okay, he can skate a little bit. They're not really shooting missiles, and he's just flipping pucks at that, kind of flipping the puck around. We're like, okay, obviously he's played, but you couldn't really tell much in warm-ups. Those guys that look like they were a lot better than him. So he comes out. He's a starting center. He's taking the face off. We're like, what in the hell? So he goes out. Ref drops the puck. He wins the face-off. Drops into his own zone like it's some kind of power play. Drops into his own zone. All the way back by the circles, face-off circles in his own zone, and just starts right up the middle of the ice. Bap, 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 bap. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's just deking every player on the team through their legs, through his legs, behind his back, gets to the goalie, and the goalie at this point is like done. I mean, he had no chance. And Snake just kind of shoulder fake, whoop, just put it in the empty. It was like shooting an empty net. The goalie was buckled. We look at it's like 8, 9, 10 seconds in the game, 1-0. He scores. We're like, oh, Snake can play, man. Second face-off, same thing. Boom, scores. We're like, yo, Snake is serious, man. He can rise. Serious hockey player, man. Pie, I wish you could have seen this guy, man. I wish you could have seen this guy, Pie. You would have been firing missiles on him. He was so good. He was like Gretzky, long hair. It was a sight to behold. He scores 4 goals in the first, I don't know, 9, 10 minutes of the game. And he's coming out on shifts. He's a football player. He hasn't played hockey and skated like that. And he's a backup quarterback, clipboard guy at that. So he's not necessarily in the best shape. So he's out to get off the ice a lot. He's out of shape, sucking wind. First period ends, he waves us down. Says, come in the locker room. Like, can't go in the locker room. It's college locker. He said, come on, come in. The guys are down in there, shooting the bull. Snake goes, we're like, Snake, dude, you're a freak, dude. You just scored like 5 goals in the first period. And everybody's lit because they're like, their season just changed on a dime because Gretzky joined the team. He says, who's the biggest jackleg on the other team? He said, I know there's somebody. I said, oh yeah, this guy's 6. He was late check-in. He was kind of dirty. He wasn't really a big dude, but he was kind of a nuisance. We're like, number 6, he's the worst. He's worse. All right. When we come out for the second period, he said, just hold up whatever number of the guy you don't like the most on the other team. Okay. What's he going to do to him? I don't know. So we get out there. We're like, 6. Everybody 6? Yeah, 6. We're holding up 6 right before the faceoff. He's out there at center again. We're like, what's he going to do? He doesn't even try to get the faceoff. 6 is on like the right or left wing. He's not even heads up on him. They drop the puck. The other team wins the faceoff. Snake skates straight over to 6, lights him up. Puck's nowhere near this guy, by the way. Just lights him off his feet, gets up, drops the gloves, and just starts pummeling the guy. Now, in college, there's no minor. It's a major. He's done. Pummels the guy's blood on the ice. This guy's like curled up, just getting pounded. Of course, major ejection, beat it. So we get that. We're like, we're like in stitches, dude. Our stomach hurts so bad. I feel bad for the kid. And that's why I'm still protecting the innocent to this day. But we're like, Snake, dude, you are sick at hockey. What are you doing here playing football? Guys, well, I don't know. I mean, didn't this coach like recruit you? He's like, no, this guy never recruited me, dude. No way. Like, why? Why wouldn't he recruit you? He goes, well, I mean, I was offered by, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota. Like, he basically named off the Final Four of the ice, the thing on the ice that they do. I forget what it's called, National Championship, whatever it is. Final Four, Frozen Four. He was recruited by the biggest hockey schools in the country and said, I just wanted to play football. Dude, that was Snake for you. That was Snake. Played about 2 more games for him. I think he led the league in goals. Might even have led it for the season through like 4 games. Finds out we got a indoor floor hockey intramural team against fraternities and that kind of thing. He's like, yeah, I quit. I quit the hockey team. It's silly, man. I want to play floor hockey with you guys against the fraternities. Swear to God, true story. He knocked like 2 fraternity kids to the hospital with that round orange ball. I mean, dude, when he shot it, our own players would dive on the floor. Like, no matter what, he'd shoot it from the other end of the floor and people would just dive. The guy was filthy. He probably surely could have got a shot in the NHL. I've seen a lot of great athletes. I played in high school with a guy who was drafted in the top 10 overall by the Cubs. I played against a guy that was drafted by the top 10 overall by the Montreal. My best friend had some time with the New Orleans Saints as a linebacker. I've seen some athletes now, plenty of them. This guy was a freak, though, Snake. So you don't see that. You won't see that. He is a character, Pie. And you would love this guy. A great guy. I mean, I had a lot of good times being Snake, but he lived up to the mantra of Kenny Stabler and the Snake nickname for sure. So championship, nothing like lightning. Yeah, that Brent, you have no idea how happy I was for that. Never was a big fraternity guy. Looking back on it, I kind of get it. I was in a fraternity on the football team, right? But just didn't like that whole. They didn't like us at their parties, and we didn't really like being there. Sometimes some fisticuffs erupted because they didn't want us in there, but let's leave that one alone. I'll leave that one for Fax. He's a little more vocal. Most of the lines, no major movement. Toledo went from 2 to 3, so hit on a key number, hasn't crossed it. Obviously, again, taking the contrarian side of this UCF game, it's now at 3.5. So if you want to buy UCF now, you can get them at 3.5. So on Fax's show, some of his guys were chatting with me. And I don't know why his guys don't come on here and watch. There's like 50 people watching. I got 10. Sweet. Bring the Fax Man guys over. So I did take a contrarian position on this. So the one question obviously was Plumlee, the quarterback for UCF. I knew that he was questionable. I knew he's been nursing a hamstring, I think. Again, if you've watched my shows, I'm not – generally injuries are overvalued. They're overvalued by the masses betting. Because they see it on the ticker all the time. They don't see when the right guard and the right tackle are out, but they do in college, but they do see when a quarterback's out. And everybody thinks quarterback, oh my God, we're done. I think it gets overvalued in the end on the line. I don't know if that's the case here or not. The UCF backup has won games start to finish for UCF. Is he a Plumlee? I get it. You know, he's no freak show. Like, I mean, not the Plumlee is, but okay, Plumlee's better than him. Is that what everybody wants to hear? The guys won games start to finish in the conference that they're in. They're playing their conference championship. Would I like to see Plumlee in there with a UCF ticket in my hand? Absolutely. Am I going to tear the ticket up because Plumlee's not starting? Absolutely not. If you wait late and this movement keeps happening, for those of you that were on the fence about buying that, you can buy it at a better number now, or you can fade me and take Tulane at a worse number. Totally up to you. It's your money. Spend it wisely. So that's a kind of a key move from 3 to 3.5. Michigan's now sitting on 17. And Clemson's back at 7.5. Remember, we bought that 3 weeks ago. We bought it at 6.5. For those of you that did, congratulations, you're with me on having the best number on that one. We also gave out the Army-Navy total under 34. That's at 33.5, and the game's 2 weeks off. If that thing goes over 34, I might have a coronary. I expect that game, especially if it gets cold in Philly, any kind of bad weather, I expect that thing to get down to 32 easily. So we got a good number there for those of you that bought under 34 Army-Navy on the look ahead, 2 week look ahead. That's a tasty beverage. UCF Boise hasn't moved. So that's the championship game. Does anybody have any questions? Do you like TCU game over 62? We talked about that briefly on Tuesday's show. Here's the deal with that. And JJ had a great post today, and I'm going to walk it into the expansion of this is the worst thing. I'm sorry. I know every fan loves it. 12-team expansion. It's awesome, dude. It's awesome. Remember when Boise beat Oklahoma? Yeah, I do remember when Boise beat Oklahoma. You know why that happened? Because when you play for Oklahoma, when you start practice in August, you have one goal and one goal only. Win the Big 12 and a national championship. You don't care about the Bluebonnet Bowl, dude. You do not care. And the majority of your players are going to the NFL. So back then, guys didn't opt out. Okay, they just opted out on the field and stayed away from traffic if they were high draft picks, which Oklahoma had plenty that year. If Oklahoma played Boise that year in a game that mattered, an elimination game for a national championship, they would have throttled them. And that was a great Boise team. I'm sorry. I know there's going to be contrarian opinions on this. It was a great game. It's one of the great bowl games ever. Great story. Guy proposes to his girlfriend at the end of the game, yada, yada. Everybody's balling. Boise wins. Expanding to 12 is really silly. And I can explain, if you could look at my ratings, I can explain why quite simply. There is a big drop off from like the top 4 and 5 down. Okay. And TCU is down from that, well down. And the reason TCU is down is their defense. Okay. They know how to win games. I'm not betting against them in this game. If that's what you're asking, I promise you that. But they give up 400 yards a game. So, I mean, Kansas State's got the little better defense. If I remember, we talked about it last week. No, they don't. Yeah, they do. They're 365. So neither one of them would be considered a shutdown defense. So in terms of a question of do I like TCU game over 62, I don't see any way that Kansas State doesn't pull out every single Bill Snyder stop they can pull out. I mean, to be honest with you, I expect to see flea flickers, trick plays, fake punts, fake field goals. What do they care? They're not playing for anything. They're going to a bowl. All they're playing for is to upset, knock TCU perhaps out of it. They may not even knock them out if they beat them close. But KSU's got the freedom, right? They've got the free wheel. TCU is – when they played them earlier, they beat them. We went over that. They beat them, I think, at TCU. But in that game, the quarterback was hurt for Kansas State. The backup who maybe started – the quarterback's Martinez, if I'm not mistaken, who transferred from Nebraska, got hurt in that game. The backup came in. Was really green in that game. He just kind of and was facing a TCU team that was coming from behind, and so they were just hunting dogs. Now that quarterback may or may not. Martinez, I think, has been cleared to play, but they may just do a couple sets with Martinez and start the other guy. He's now on his feet. He's now putting up some decent numbers on offense. And Kansas State this year, 4.25 on offense, so they can obviously pile up offensive yards, as well as TCU can pile up the offensive yards. 460 yards per game. That's, pushing 1,000 total yards. Total at 62. Ryan Cuss, if I had to play that total, I would play over 62. I would never put $1 on the under just because Kansas State's freewheeling in this game. Rolk Air 555. Thank you so much for tuning in, dude. We're up to 11, dude or ma'am. I'm not sure whether you're a guy or girl with a Rolk Air name. But listen, 11 people. If you guys all tell one person, the next time we do this, we'll have 22 people here. 12 teams seem like so many, says Pie Eater. Would you be in favor of a 16 playoff? I would be much more in favor, Pie, of a 16 playoff than I would be of a 12. What you're going to see is that you're not going to see Boise beat Oklahoma when it's an elimination. I promise you that. It is what it is. It's football, guys. It's not NCAA tournament basketball. It's not. There's no magical 3-point hot run you can go on. There's no, it's a physical game. It's played by big men with bad attitudes. And the bigger men with the baddest attitudes tend to rock people in football. When you're playing in an elimination scenario, 12 is too many. It's going to end up devaluing the regular season. You're going to lose certain key matchups, right? That we've already lost if you're a regional matchup guy. In my opinion, West Virginia Pitt should always happen. West Virginia, Virginia Tech should always happen. Virginia Tech should always happen. There's certain games that you should always see, right? And now we're losing that. Maryland's playing half their games halfway across, more than half their games halfway across the country. I get it. Teams are moving. It's money. Post-COVID, they're all broke. I don't know how colleges made money, by the way, for 200 years, and in 1 year they all went broke. So now they'll sell beer at stadiums. Now they'll put gaming. Pretty soon we'll have gambling machines in college stadiums. They all went broke. But these are the guys teaching people how to be smart with things. Doesn't sound like they were running universities very smart, in my opinion. 1 year, and they're roasted, right? So, anyways, that was my little rant on the NCAA and some of these institutions. So, anyways, I think it's too many. 6, I totally would be in favor of, Pie. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Anything more than that, and all you're doing is knocking out, there won't be divisions anymore. You're going to knock out, rivalry games that I personally like to watch. I think that's, who doesn't like rivalry? That weekend to me is just an awesome weekend of football. So yeah, I would definitely move it down to 6. I'd be fine with 12. You're not going to see, Illinois, Chicago. You're not going to see Loyola Chicago or whatever. You're not going to see these teams that you all love and I love to see in the NCAA. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay. I'm sorry. University of Delaware is not going to, these small schools are not going to come out and make the 12-team playoff and magically become Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia. They're not. They're going to get throttled, and they're going to get throttled bad. I'll eat that one day. Some little school beat Alabama or Georgia, and everybody but kind of, I told you that was going to happen. So let's get down. Let's see what we got here. I think that's covering that. So chip games, I don't have much more there. And if nobody else has any other questions on the chip games, let's see, what else did I have? So, and then, I'm not going to get off UCF no matter what. Plumlee or no Plumlee, I'm fine with that. And then that's what we talked about earlier when we talked about how you use information, right? If quarterback's out, bet the other side. Wrong way to use the information. Quarterback's out, look up the backup quarterback. Find out what he's done. I've even gone to the point where I've drummed up high school stuff on guys that haven't played yet in college. I want to know if this kid threw for 20,000 yards in high school. I'm pretty sure he can throw a football. Like, I get it. High school, college, huge jump, right? Everybody knows. But if you won a lot of state championships, if you came from behind a lot in high school, that's a trait that travels, right? Stick to it and fight. Continue to fight. Never quit. Make your team feel like you can win from any position on the field, from any position on the scoreboard. That's a trait that travels from middle school through professional football. That's the it factor that we talk about with quarterbacks. With the Steelers, it's Kenny Pickett. Oh, he doesn't have an arm. He's a bust. He's this. He's that. Terry Bradshaw threw 72 interceptions in his first 4 seasons, dude. Good thing Twitter wasn't around then, or you guys would have probably gone nuts on that. 72 interceptions, was benched 5 times the year they won their first Super Bowl. Okay. And not for John Unitas and Len Dawson, who were at one point on the Steelers roster, and they lost both of them. Guys like Joe Gilliam and Terry Hanratty were better than Terry Bradshaw at that point. Be patient with rookie quarterbacks. My point being, what do I see in Pickett? I only look at one thing right now, the it factor. When he came in the Jets game, the stadium lit up, the players lit up, the team changed. Everything went in a different direction in a positive way. Fourth quarter, come from behind, Monday night road win. Sorry, folks, but that's it. That's the it factor, right? Threw a laser on a 2-point conversion. That kind of answers the arm questions in pressure situations. I don't know what everybody wants to see. Does you have to win 16 games, whatever? I'm so sick of the Ben Roethlisberger, comparisons or any of that. Ben had one of the filthiest defenses in the league at that point. So, anyways, we're going to wrap it up because I got to get Junior. It's 6:32. We got to leave in 8 minutes or he will freak if he thinks he's going to be 1 minute late. Junior goes nuts. 5 minutes early is late for him. Appreciate that, though. I like that quality in the young man. 12 viewers. We're up to 12. Let's go. And then it's like 150 people, 200 people view it after the fact. Why wouldn't you want to be in on the live thing, An email, you can send something to help you market your videos and insights. Sports Video Library. I'd love to hear that, right? RAYG21 at vt.edu. Here you go, RAYG21 at vt.edu. That's my email. There you go. Sorry, dropped my phone. One more play. We're going to give you college football. I talked about this one briefly. I'm not going to get into it too much because I'm running out of time, to be quite frank with you. I played under 48 in Coastal Carolina and Troy. A game being played in Troy, Alabama. Coastal's played one game in what, 3 weeks now? 3+ weeks. They had the Virginia game canceled for obvious reasons. So for a team that was probably in a pretty good rhythm up to that point, and they were, maybe they've lost a little of that. The offense might take a little while to get jump started. Troy's the favorite and has the much better defense. And they are, 8-9? They're a decent favorite in this game. Troy's 8.5 right now. So with an 8.5-point favorite, the better defense, playing on their home field, Coastal might take a little while to get the offense revved up, and it may not happen against this Troy defense, to be quite frank. That's why the number's, where it is, 8.5. We're going to go under the total of 48, Coastal and Troy. So we've got a number of plays out there right now. I gave you 2 more today. Last week I gave you a few. We've got Clemson. We've got 6.5. We've got Michigan and 8-1 on the money line. I gave you a couple others. I gave you Boise and UCF last week, I believe, and maybe one and under an Army Navy. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plays out there right now. Play them, fade them, burn them, put them in a piece of paper under your bird cage. I don't care. I got them. I got money on them. If you want to see the tickets, send Faxman $1,000. I'll send him the picture of the ticket, and we'll go to the steakhouse for dinner because you're questioning my integrity. I do have them. I play everything I give, win, lose, or draw. I'm not hiding behind anything. I'm not a tout. I don't get paid for it. I appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Pie, Ryan, Sports Video Library, Rock Air, Big Brent from the Shenandoah, and here local as well. Appreciate everybody for being here. Faxman Friday is tomorrow. I got to get Junior to basketball practice. And other than that, we're going to sign off from Blacksburg, Virginia. It's only rock and roll, baby, but I like it.